Hi folks, welcome back to Salty Tarot. So I recorded a reading. It was a really beautiful reading, and then it failed to upload. I'm just reflecting that there was no rambling in any of the readings that I recently recorded, and now there's rambling. It's almost like Spirit's getting me back to my ramble. Anyway, so this reading was quite beautiful. It was lovely. And so we're looking at, I was just going to let the cards sort of dictate what we're looking at. And so I pulled cards, animal cards for you and your person. You came through. For you, we got the gazelle, and for your person, we got the swan. And so these have some compatibilities. I'll just read out the guidebook. So for the gazelle, we have heightened awareness and ability, vulnerable. The gazelle represents supreme grace. With every move, this awe-inspiring beauty emits sophistication and elegance. Gazelle personalities are often hyper-aware of their surroundings, bordering on hyper-vigilant, and this can inhibit them from enjoying the beauty they spent so much effort cultivating. No more worrying about all those predators out there in the wild. When this card appears, it's time to get back to the present moment. Sit down, find your breath, and acknowledge the bounty that surrounds you. Let it nourish your gentle spirit. You could take that literally and pause the video now and sit down, find your breath, and take a moment to acknowledge the beauty around you. And then when in balance, graceful, perceptive, artistic. When out of balance, food allergies, insomnia, racing mind. To bring into balance, yin yoga, a cozy home, and good food. That all sounds quite lovely to me. I might just actually, speaking of cozy homes, I might just light the sage for a moment. Just to invite a little bit of a recentering. The reading just came through so nicely, and I was so happy with it. And so I just want to sort of cleanse any resentment or frustrations I might have over the technological snafus. I don't really. I mean, it's a bit inconvenient in terms of time spent, and I wanted to re-record it. I was able to recall the cards, and it was actually quite to the point and brief overall. So I was able to recall the questions that I'd asked and the cards that came out. So I'm reprising with the same cards that came out, and which I did shuffle out on camera in the initial reading, but now it's going to be a little more premeditated. Okay, and then with the swan, we've got effortless creativity, sensitive mystic, elegant power. The swan represents heightened creativity. In Hindu mythology, the goddess Saraswati, the embodiment of language, creativity, and artistry, rides on the back of this graceful creature. The swan is ready to take us there, to the fluid realm of writing, creating, and reflecting. This potent and healing energy is not to be taken for granted or taken lightly. When the swan card appears, your soul, or in this case your person's soul, is calling for attention, for solo time. An inner voice is waiting to be heard, an inner vision likely to be revealed. When in balance, infinite creative power. When out of balance, agitated, snippy, lacking vision. To bring into balance, solo time and writing. So I was noting that these two cards both have an elegance in common, and I'll try not to put everything in the sort of past tense, referring back to the reading that disappeared into the ethers, and try and be present here with this very forward-looking gazelle. This gazelle is very oriented to the present moment. This one is looking to the future in terms of tarot directions. Just want to have the gazelle meaning ready to hand. Yeah, so there's like I was suggesting that perhaps you are both people who have, like art might be a big part of your lives, or some kind of artistic profession, something that involves grace, something like dance, music, something to do with sort of Venusian beauty pursuits. That may be a big part of your life or your connection with each other. There's certainly a grace and an elegance that like if the two of you walk into a room together, like there's a cognizance of that sort of graceful energy. And so after talking about that for a little bit, what came through was that there might be something of an investment, and I can't recall if this was, I think it was while I was still working with the animal cards, but there might be something of an investment in appearances. So there might be a bit of a focus on the surface level of a connection and sort of, keeping up appearances or a self-consciousness about how one's coming off to others in the community or in one's life, which might put a bit of pressure on the connection. Again, the gazelle was coming through with that sort of hyper-vigilance. And so my intention was for this to be you, for this to be your person. And, you'll know if that fits or if they're reversed. And, but both of them coming through was just really beautiful, graceful, elegant energies. Yeah, I think we're going to take it from there over to the tarot. And so last night, when I pulled the cards all back out, I was very confident of my ability to remember the questions. And did I write them down? No, I did not. I'm just going to make sure these are straightish from your perspective. But I think my first question was, what is your energy in the connection? And you came through as the High Priestess, and it was modified by the by the 4. Sorry, no, that was your person. Where was the other card? Oh, the 5 of Wands. The 5 of Wands in reverse and the 7 of Pentacles in reverse. And then I asked the same question for your person, and it came through as the Sun in reverse and the 4 of Wands in reverse. And so we're going to talk about all of these. The bottom of the deck energies was the 4 of Swords. So current energies, so you're coming through as the High Priestess, which is the energies of possibly sort of holding your cards close to your chest, so maybe not revealing exactly where you're at within the connection. And I'm just recalling that sort of pattern through all the cards into a really beautiful story. The last time, I'll do my best to recapture. It's almost like the grace of the 2 animals in these cards was coming through the reading. It just felt it had a very graceful, sort of poetic feeling, and things were kind of coming out and revealing themselves along the way. So I might say things out of order or leap ahead to conclusions that felt quite magical at the time. Also, the magic of the cards coming out is not here, and that will become relevant in the next section. We'll get to that. So the High Priestess has a lot to do with the feminine path, and that's regardless of what gender you are, and with the usual caveats about the words feminine and masculine, which in my opinion are sort of a lazy shorthand for picking out characteristics that could be described otherwise, but I don't think, I have not found an umbrella term that I am totally comfortable with that kind of catches that same set of characteristics. In astrology, it's now referred to as positive and negative, so with the former feminine being the negative, the former masculine being the positive. People have issues with that too because it starts to sound like a value judgment. It's not meant in that way, it's meant as in like the sun energies of the masculine being like forward movement, action, and then the negative energies, the negative polarity of the moon, referring to, I was joking in the last reading about maybe Spirit did this kind of reshuffle of the cards because I wasn't rambling enough. I was very concise and to the point in the readings that are now lost to the ether, so you'll just have to take my word for it. I was actually pithy and to the point for once, and now I'm back to my tangential rambling. And so anyway, the High Priestess is like the subconscious, working with intuition, have secrets. It can be about secrets or things that are coming out in divine timing, so that which it is not for one to know just yet. In this position is your energy. It suggests that you might be in those energies of working with the feminine. Maybe you're in the energies of, crafting rituals or manifestation. You might be working with sort of witchy traditions. But what was mostly coming through for me was, in addition to sort of inner knowing, intuition, was that the idea of the high priestess being sort of shrouded, like a hidden information, hidden knowledge, and what might be hidden, and it's sort of suggested by the red curtains here as well, and the kind of stormy seas that are here. There might be some inner passion that is being cloaked by a calm exterior. So the high priestess might be like a bit of a, I don't want to say a mask exactly, but like a front of composure when there's a lot of inner passion. And so then I went to pulling out the cards that modify this. And so we've got the Five of Wands. The Five of Wands in the upright can be about like some sort of ego conflict, like kind of too much going on, kind of trying to best each other or be in the ego, trying to be right. So there might have been like you might have been in those energies and now they're coming out in reverse. So there's like a desire to come out of conflict and, get away from ego into intuition, into that sort of spirituality. The high priestess, of course, is all about spirituality. So getting into like the spiritual flow of the connection as opposed to being in the mind and sort of, hashing things out from an egoic perspective. And also modifying is the Seven of Pentacles in reverse. You might be impatient for the fruition to come forward within this connection. And that might be what your, that inner passion is sort of being, is within, but it's being almost suppressed. Not quite suppressed, but just not shown. Like you might be perfectly aware of your own passion within this connection, your own passion for this one person, but you might not be giving voice to that at this time. There might have been some kind of conflict between you, or that could be, if this is a brand new connection, this could be conflict within your own mind or in a past connection, that you're sort of setting the intention to not bring into this connection. Or if this is like a reconnection situation with somebody that you have past energy with, then maybe there were some arguments in the past or some kind of like competitive energy that you're wanting to come out of and to move it into more of a spiritual flow. And so the Seven of Pentacles is the card of like, it's the one before the Eight of Pentacles. Eight of Pentacles is like reaping the harvest. Seven of Pentacles is you're not quite there yet, but it's starting to become apparent that there's going to be great bounty, but it's like not quite ready for plucking yet. And in the reverse, it can sort of suggest it's like accentuating the impatience part of that. So rather than like dutifully tending and, bringing the harvest to fruition, it's sort of like you want it now. You're done with this, kind of like you've been on a long journey. It's almost at its apex point, but it's not there yet. And you're sort of impatient for it to be there. Like you're like, enough already, enough with the tending, the holding back, like you want it to be there. And I'm just moving to the Four of Swords here. So the Four of Swords was the bottom of the deck energy, and I cannot recall for the life of me whether it was upright or upside down. I kind of feel like it was upside down. And so that would be the energy of that sort of like background energy, or, maybe what's in the background between you is like coming out of the pause. The Four of Swords, you can maybe pick whichever of those meanings resonates for your situation. It might be different for different people, and maybe that's the advantage of this reshuffle by spirit. So the Four of Swords would be about taking a meditative pause, like sort of pulling back from the connection in order to assess what's going on with the connection, how to best be in connection with each other, how to be in relationship with each other, what wasn't working, what was working, how to, sort of bring your best to the connection. And then Four of Swords in reverse would be like that reflection has occurred and now it's time to come back together, come out of the pause, which is the similar energies to the Five of Wands in reverse. The Sun in reverse suggests that it could be, and this is where I went into wondering if there might be like an emphasis on keeping up appearances, maybe from this one person's side of things. I'm just going to pause for a second because it's quite chilly in here. I'm just going to close my door. Yeah, so speaking of sun in reverse, I got a little chilly. The sun is not out where I am today, but it was out yesterday. So maybe that's... There was sun when I was filming this reading originally, and now it's like, I feel like we're in a cloud, like it's a little bit moist, but not quite spitting, not quite raining. But everything's just kind of got a sheen of wetness out there. And it's chilly in a way that it hasn't been for the last little bit. Felt like spring was on the way, and now it feels like it's taking a pause. So, and maybe that's symbolic of the energy and the connection right now. So the sun in reverse could be, the sun of course being a very, very positive card, but in reverse it can highlight some of the, I'm thinking of like the shadow side of the sign of Leo, which would be like the positive side of Leo would be like love, like very loving energy, being very gregarious, affectionate, very able to articulate warmth, being able to express warmth, share warmth with others. So the sun in reverse can refer to being out of balance with the energies of the sun. And so one way that that might come through is in that sort of Leonine way of being too much in the ego, being out of touch with, being out of touch with the heart, it might be. For some reason that's coming through. It can be about depression or, being in kind of darker energies of not being able to see see the sort of bright side to life. And then it can also refer to, like the sun card has to do with being in the flow of play, sort of getting into those like childlike energies of, just like spontaneously playing. And maybe that's the way that you have connected in the past, but it kind of suggests that this one person is having trouble accessing those energies at this time. So they might be sort of caught up in adulting. There might be too much adult stuff going on for them that's kind of blocking them from getting back into that that sort of sweet nectar of spontaneous play. And if that's something that you're feeling, that you're having some feelings about, then that might be what you're kind of keeping under wraps. It might be that you really want to sort of get back into that spontaneous play state with your swan person, and that they're like not coming through with that at this time. So for them especially, there might be some inner child work that needs to be done. That's one meaning of the sun in reverse. It might be that they have, and this is not your work, right? But this is, a way for them to come out of these. If you are in communication with them, if you are in a relationship with them, that might be something to gently suggest if that feels appropriate. Any sort of play. That is my that is my dog adding his 2 cents. Yes, what are you after? You're looking for your lunch? You want to play? Oh, he came over looking to play. He's got his toy. This is his toy. It's an alligator. It squeaks. There you go. There you go. You gonna play with it? Yeah. He really just wants me to play, and I'm always recording tarot readings. There you go. Get your toy. Get your toy. Yeah. I take that as an omen for you. Gazelle person. Oh, he's just tossed it under the tarot table. You ready? Catch. Get it, get it. Get your toy. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so anything that brings up joy and that kind of spontaneous play that takes us out of our adulting and into connection with other people would be where your person maybe needs to place their emphasis at this time. And it might be that they're resisting that or feeling like they've got too much going on to kind of give themselves over to that. But of course, that's, how we reconnect with our own joy, never mind reconnect with other people. And so you might be, the 4 of Wands in reverse does suggest a separation. It does suggest being sort of not in harmony with another person. So they might be, I'm kind of seeing like a bit of a withholding energy maybe coming from the side. but also from this side, actually. Yeah, so and the meaning that I was pulling out of this before is that maybe your person is very invested in outward appearances. Maybe there's a self-consciousness about the connection or about sort of the public appearance of the connection. And so that might be when, like, it's this really beautiful, graceful energy between the two of you, but it might be that your person is in this energy of right now of feeling like you're out of balance, and like maybe, with the high priestess, like on your side, you might be, there's like your person might be avoiding their feelings in the connection by adulting too much, by throwing themselves into work or, other things that have to sort of get done. And by like, they might feel like they have to take responsibility within the connection, like they have to sort of set the agenda or do the, like pay the bills or be the person who organizes things. I don't know if that's your division of labor within the connection. It might be that they're feeling like those things have to be taken care of, or that, maybe they have to organize even the emotional connection between you. That can be something that people, especially people who've, maybe grown up with some anxiety, often feel a strong need to control emotions or emotional connections with other people so that they don't get, kind of ambushed, right? It's like control is like an anxiety coping mechanism. I have an anecdote I could tell, but it has to do with a child I once knew, so I'll just, out of respect for her privacy, I'll leave it at that. But just suffice it to say maybe that that's something that can come up for kids, right? And I learned that in the context of children who like maybe have been through a stressful time in their own lives, and then it's sort of like often they'll have a high need to control the circumstances around them after that, and that can be an anxiety response, right? And so anyway, and that can be something we bring over into adulthood, and that we feel like it's going to keep us safe, when in fact what it's actually doing is foreclosing connection, like actual genuine heartfelt connection with another person. And to feel that, you have to be in your vulnerability. So if only I could say this to your person. Okay, so so I don't know, I guess I'm being directed away from that sense that it really came through strongly in the previous time that I did this reading, of like perhaps your person, or perhaps both of you, sorry, and then you over here with the High Priestess, it's like you're kind of keeping things under wraps as well. So it just really felt like between these two cards that there was an emphasis on surface appearances, keeping up appearances, keeping up with the Joneses, and if like, for some reason it keeps coming through, like maybe somebody in this connection is in the art world, and it sort of feels like I'm envisioning people like milling through galleries, and like if you're having a big gallery opening, if you're in some way involved in that, then the last thing you want is, like difficulties in your personal life to be sort of coming through. Like you really want everything to be harmonious, look harmonious. Like maybe there's an emphasis on harmony within, like maybe you have a public face to your connection with each other. And so it seems like you might have some, just like an innate sense that you need to kind of keep things hidden. Like if something's not working for you in the connection, it's almost like you're like burying it down, but you've got this like inner passion that's like turmoiling inside of you, or like really strong feelings for this one person that maybe you feel like you have to suppress, or a really strong desire to reconnect, and like an impatience to do that you feel like you have to kind of mask. And then whereas this one person is coming through as, it was so pithy and concise the last time, and now I feel like I'm like doing multiple takes, things are interrupting. We're back to the standard salty tarot reading. I was so proud of myself for it. It was like one take, it all just came through. I was like so articulate. You'll just have to take my word for it. Okay, so and then with your person, it might be that they're also avoiding, dealing with whatever the disharmony is. And it's almost like or maybe they're just depressed about it. Maybe they're depressed about like whatever's happened in this connection, or, maybe they're bringing something through from a past connection. Maybe they're just feeling blocked within themselves and maybe they're feeling their feelings, maybe they're in those negative emotions. But I did see an element of like, there's some kind of desire to keep things on the surface rather than going down into the depths. And part of that was that I had filmed this very intense reading, 3-pile reading over the weekend. And I was so much in those energies that it didn't occur to me until I was filming the 3rd pile, like a day and a half later, that part of the kind of funk that I was in, like I personally was feeling quite low. And when I came to the 3rd pile, I just had the thought, like, maybe I'm channeling the energies within this reading. And I'd set the theme of the reading was transformation. And it was almost like I'd set, this intention of transformation that was coming through within the reading so strongly. And it's not that it was negative, but it was just very, very intense. And I was very in it. And it was like there was no rambling. I was just speaking, directly. I was completely business. And anyway, so then by the time I got to this reading, then I did the other reading, that half of which disappeared, and then this reading with all of which disappeared. And this one was like in one take, beautiful. Just stick around for it. It's coming. And it left me feeling just really light and buoyant. And yeah, I was just loving being in the energies of this connection between you and between the gazelle person and this one person. And anyway, without further ado, let's move on to the next part. So then I asked Spirit given present factors in this connection, given, how things are right now, if present factors continue, what is the highest possible outcome for this connection between the gazelle and the swan? And the card that came out was the glorious 10 of Cups. And the 10 of Cups, and I actually just launched right into pulling out more cards about how you can bring this forward and how your person can bring this forward. But I didn't actually spend much time talking about the 10 of Cups because I was so impressed. And I did actually note there was something about the way the cards were lining up. Maybe I'll add that in, but since it's on my mind now, there's something about like the way that these people, they've got their surface and they've got their depths. And because I had brought through this sense that there might be like an emphasis on the surface, and if you notice, they're like human, they're like acceptably human on their upper halves, and then like their aquatic selves are underneath, and neither of them are like, they're not even just mer people, like their mer selves are under the water here. But I'm not sure what kind of mer creature she is. This person looks like they might be some kind of like cyber whale, and then she's like an octopus times 100. She's got a lot of tentacles, or like almost like a seagrass kind of feeling to her. And I'm assuming gender, but there's no reason to assume gender. They could both be female, they could both be non-binary, they could both be male. And but they do have a beautiful rainbow, and the 10 of Cups does talk about like this merging, like the highest possible outcome between two people essentially in a connection is the 10 of Cups. So this, and I don't mean merging in like a codependent way, although I don't really think there's much wrong with codependence if both people are into it and not subsuming / losing themselves in it. Like, if you're consciously codependent, I think that's great. I think that's what a lot of people yearn for in their heart of hearts. And, and if other people think that it's not the way to be, then they can go have relationships that are different than that and keep their judgments to themselves. Anyway, so, and then with this rainbow, there's like a little family of fish. Like it speaks of building a life with somebody and just having very strong emotional compatibility and fulfillment. And whereas, like the 10 of Pentacles might refer to like building up wealth, legacy, generations, this talks about just being sort of simpatico with another person. So beautiful, beautiful potential outcome for this connection. And then my question was, how can you what actions might you be able to take to encourage this outcome? And what came through was the Five of Cups. And so that gave me pause. But I'm just going to pull out, I asked for modifiers. And what came through was the King of Wands, which is beautiful, the Eight of Cups, and the High Priestess. Oh, now I'm questioning myself. I'm pretty sure she came out in reverse this time. Now I'm questioning whether she was in reverse to start with and upright this time, but no, I think she was in reverse because, okay, getting ahead of myself, so we'll just pause there. And then and this is where the magic of shuffling, is lost in trying to reprise a reading. So the Two of Pentacles came out, it happened twice. It happened twice within talking about what your person can focus on to bring about the best possible outcome, like where their energy should be going. And so the Two of Pentacles shot out of the deck, and it was just sideways. It was, there was no debating that it came out sideways. And so I asked for a modifier, and we got the Star. And then I can't recall if I was looking for like another modifier or why I continued shuffling, but in any event I did. And the Two of Cups came out, but it came out, I swear to God, it came out like this. It was like, I don't know if it was reverse or upright, but it went like one of them, and then it kind of hit the table and it flipped to the exact opposite. And so I decided to interpret that as the Two of Cups being sideways as well. And so we've got this, sideways sort of zigzag jigsaw puzzle for your person. And then the bottom of the deck energies was the King of Swords, which I'm not really sure where to. I think it ended up over on the side here. But the King of Swords is a call to integrity as I read it. It can refer to being very much in the mind as well, like using logic. It might be a call to use logic. But it's all the great things that, like this person is stitching. This King of Swords is stitching together. They're working on a big project and they're taking their time and making it beautiful and using rational skills to do it. They might be using some intuition in there, but in any event, it's like they're stitching stars to their skirt. And which actually, that's funny, I didn't notice that before. And combined with the star here, I think that's really beautiful. So it might be that there's some energy of first of all, a call to be in integrity, but also there might be a call to use rationality, reason, logic to perhaps temper emotions. If there are high emotions in the connection that maybe aren't serving, then this would be a call to just kind of keep grounded with respect to those emotions. Anyway, we're going to put her over here. And so then for the Five of Cups, I did look up the Five of Cups as action. I think I may have made a note of it. That would have been smart of me. I did not. Okay, so I'm just going to pull that back up. Yeah, okay, so the Five of Cups as action is talking about the need to acknowledge feelings, process grief, process loss. So if you, either in a past connection or in the past within this connection, have been through some kind of loss, setback, disappointment, then this is a call to process that, to go into your feelings. And again, I always come back to the somatic experience of the emotions. So I know this is kind of in the air these days, but I'm also getting it from multiple different parts of my own life. So, any kind of body work can get you into your body and processing emotion. Dancing, if you're, especially something like ecstatic dance where it's sober, intentionally sober. Anything where you're just in your body and you're like yoga, breath work. Breath work can get a bit heady, I suppose, but even Vipassana meditation, that's something that works with the body, where the body is at. Any kind of, I'm sure there's lots of modalities that are popular these days that I am not thinking of at this moment, but, I sort of came of age in the yoga was still weird era. And that's why I liked it. That's why I was so into it. And then it became very popular and mainstream, which kind of messed with my self-identity. But anyway, So yeah, so there's a call to process anything that is going on for you, that like anything that needs to be acknowledged, sat with, allowed to move through. You want to be doing that work. With the King of Wands, that suggests that there is some very strong passion in this connection. So you, again, like coming back to when the High Priestess was coming out, and like the idea that she might be like, and there's such an alignment between the colors of these two cards. So the red of her curtains is the red of the King of Wands dress in this deck. And there is so much passion in this King of Wands that it's like shooting off sparklers into the air. And so, whatever this connection is between you, like it lights you up. There's so much strength in your passion for this person that it's like shooting sparklers off into the air. Like it just makes everything like brilliant and beautiful is what I'm sensing. And so that might be one of the things that needs to be processed and acknowledged. Like maybe you've avoided, that can be a frightening energy insofar as it comes with vulnerability, right? And so if you're in the energy of sort of wanting to like push that down, like you want to High Priestess that out, like if you're trying to like eclipse that energy with your High Priestess inclinations, then you might have the urge to do that because of sensing that you might feel like you're too much for this one person, or you might just feel like that puts you in a really precarious position where how somebody else behaves, has some control over an outcome in your life, right? But the thing is, you're feeling it, and there's no sense denying it. Like what this one person does on their side is up to this one person, and that's not your karma, right? But for you, it looks like you really need to work with what you're feeling and allow it, acknowledge it, maybe give it voice to the other person, maybe not, but at least acknowledge it within yourself. And then was noticing that her hair kind of looks like little pomegranate seeds, which is beautiful. Beautiful in a Wands card. That's such a cool tie-in for the King of Wands. And then the same red color is showing up over here. And what I like about this card is, so this is the Eight of Cups, and the Eight of Cups is about walking away from something that is not serving you. And in this case, she's got two swans in her card, and so I thought that was quite notable, given that we're working with swan energy over here. And so again, regardless of your gender, maybe you identify with this ladybug person who has the same red, at sort of at the torso part of this ladybug dress, but it's like fading. The red's fading towards the bottom. And so it's sort of like walking away from that passion, walking away from, like if the passion involves anger, for example, like that's not really a King of Wands thing in the upright, but, if there's been like a sense of having too much passion in a way that has not served, then it might be that you're choosing to walk away from that. And that might be something that needs to come up for clearing or for acknowledgement. And I was pointing out last time that there's two swans, there's two of these beautiful tropical birds, there's two dragonflies, there's two butterflies, or moths. I think they're moths actually. But there's one ladybug, right? So the other ladybug, the idea is they're way back here, being walked away from. And so, it might be that there's something else in your energy that you need to walk away from. Like maybe there's past passion with another person, or a situation that's been holding you back. Maybe there's something to process about something in your past. And then the High Priestess came out here in reverse, and I just saw that as, like a very, very positive card, because while there are, negative meanings that you could associate with that, sort of like anything negative with the High Priestess could be like amplified by it being in the reverse. It also, what I was taking away from it, because it had already come through in the upright and had this meaning for us in this reading of like kind of masking or hiding emotions, to me, this is like parallel with this King of Wands. It's like you're coming out of the masking part, you're unmasking, you're letting your emotions through, you're at least acknowledging and processing them for yourself, and maybe you're communicating them, maybe you're not keeping them under wraps to quite the same extent. And, that might be what you're walking away from, is the sort of high priestess, like holding back. So this ladybug might be walking towards the other ladybug, for all we know. And, walking away from what did not serve, and maybe what didn't serve was holding back. And, there's, at the very least, I think there's a call to acknowledge how beautiful, like, look how flipping beautiful. I'm trying to avoid all the words that cause things to not be promoted by YouTube. And I keep catching myself almost saying them. I need like that vocabulary of substitutes that teenagers develop around their parents. It's been a while. And anyway, so I would just look at how beautiful, like all these cards are so beautiful. Even the Five of Cups is so beautiful. Like your energy in this connection, or, what you're being called to acknowledge and process, is so beautiful. Like you might feel like you're too much. You're not. Look at this. It's gorgeous. And so then with that, we come over to your person. And so Two of Pentacles upright, of course, is juggling things, sort of keeping, like that's, it could be like the card of adulting, like we were talking about before, and sort of keeping all the balls in the air, and doing it well. But it can also refer to sort of, the pressure to keep those balls in the air. And in the reverse, it can refer to either doing that badly or just feeling like very, very pressured to kind of keep everything up in the air. It can also refer to a decision that needs to be made. And this can refer to, in the reverse, it can refer to hesitating. Again, that hesitation of not making a decision. When I say again, I might be thinking back to the reading before this one, actually. So disregard that again. So just like failing to make a decision when a decision needs to be made, sort of holding back, hesitating too much, letting something slip by, and, not quite managing to keep on top of everything. But meantime, this really, like these two quite beautiful cards have come through. Two of Cups, ambiguously so, but the Star card is definitely beautiful, beautiful energies. And, between the King of Wands, the Ten of Cups, and the Star card coming through, like these are really beautiful energies between you and your person. And so I'd say, with this Two of Cups, sorry, and just to finish that thought about the Star, I'm noticing like all my cards are getting smudges on them. Time to clean the cards. So the Star is about wish fulfillment. It's about the alchemy of merging elements, everything kind of being worked with and for the highest possible outcome. And so, it might be that your person is wishing for this Ten of Cups outcome with you. Maybe that's what is in their heart. And they're sort of, questioning what they should be doing to bring that about. And, but there's like I almost want to say a longing that's coming through here with the Star card. But the Star really is about wish fulfillment. And so it might be that this one person is sort of coming to the awareness that they want this outcome with you. Like maybe maybe there was some clearing or some subconscious delvings, inner child work with that reverse sun from before. Maybe if they do that work, maybe they're doing that work right now, and maybe this is what's coming through, is this sort of like longing for a Ten of Cups outcome with you. And then, so the Two of Cups came through ambiguously. So in the upright, the Two of Cups, of course, refers to like very similar energies to the Ten of Cups, although the Ten of Cups would be like with longevity. The Two of Cups is sort of coming together, seeing eye to eye, being, merged with another person in connection, and especially at the beginning of something. So like, maybe not the beginning necessarily, but like that sort of beginning commitment, coming together in unity with another person. And the traditional Two of Cups Rider-Waite image depicts what looks like almost like a marriage ceremony, but maybe more like a hand fasting ceremony or something like that. But like a formal, like a contractual relationship between two people. I think modern interpretations are a little more romantic, as is this card, which is just so, I mean, it's like a twin flame card, essentially. You know, these two people are the same. And it's like you're looking at a picture of their souls rather than of the individual. They almost look like Siamese twins to me, is what I always get out of this card. And which, yeah, anyway, so, and then these tulips are intertwined and have the same colors as the clothing here. And yeah, so just like a really beautiful merging with another person. And then in the reverse, it can refer to just missing each other, sort of like that disharmony of being on different pages, not quite knowing where the other person stands. And so I essentially was suggesting that we take, and it might look accidental that I put it that way, but this is exactly what I did in the first reading. I did this initially, and then I turned it around like this when I got to this part. And I don't know why, but I just felt like I should show both sides so that you can get a good look at both sides of the card. I don't know. Yeah, and so on its side, it's almost like the potential for the upright is there, and the potential for the reverse is there. And it's sort of like, and it literally did a somersault. Like, this card came out doing a somersault. It like came out so dynamic that it completely flipped around. And when I picked it up in reverse. But I recall thinking, oh, I should have just picked it up exactly as it was, and so maybe it was upright, and then I couldn't recall which way it had come out first, like, so, yeah. Anyway, I don't know which way it came out. So it is a sideways Two of Cups to go with the sideways Two of Pentacles. And, yeah, and so I feel like there's just this really beautiful potential here with the Ten of Cups and the Star. And then, you know, there's this passion, there's like emotional connection, there's passion, there's a longing for this merging, this state of merging. And, you know, it's this, all of the potential is there to have this really beautiful outcome. And again, by, you know, perhaps leaning on logic and not getting lost in insecurities. For example, like maybe this Two of Pentacles, it's not really a card of insecurities, but it, you know, if there's a pressure to kind of keep all the balls in the air, it might be that this one person is just feeling like almost burdened by the, you know, like the daily tasks that they have to do to kind of keep up with life right now. And you know, this might be a call to just heed their, you know, like, what do they, like, we only get one life. You know, what do you want it to be? What do you deep down want it to look like? Who do you want to spend it with? Who do you want to have more in your energy? You know, and it looks pretty clear in this reading, like for the two of you, it's each other. And there might be some things that need to be acknowledged and articulated, spoken, processed, worked with. But it looks very clear to me that there's just a really, really beautiful outcome here. Oh yeah, this is what I was remarking on. So somehow these all kind of lined up. And I was noticing that there's like, you know, this kind of surface level as opposed to like the depths. And, you know, what's on the surface here is like these beautiful flowers. What's in the depths is like maybe there's some things that need to be kind of processed to do with these flowers. Like, you know, these flowers are like, there's some dead branches here, and there's some flowers that are floating off down the river. You know, there's like this otherworldly connection between the two of you that is not necessarily apparent to other people on the surface. And then there's like this juggling act of, you know, the buildings, like trying to keep up with appearances. But what's under the surface is this longing to connect, and, you know, the connection itself. And, you know, this journey of coming out of denial, I want to say, you know, like just acknowledging your feelings, like on both sides. It kind of seems like that's the journey here. And yeah, it just was feeling very light and potent and beautiful in the original reading yesterday. And so I got some cards. These guys came out, and this is how I pulled them out and how the order that they came out in and where I lay them. So this part I remember clearly. So I shuffled them out, and then the first one that came out was Divine Timing. Everything has a higher purpose. And I had suggested earlier in the reading that you were feeling impatient for this reconnection to happen or connection to happen. And so this is, very much a message from Spirit to trust that everything's happening in the timing that it was meant to, and that there's a reason for why it's happening in that timing, and just to trust everything has a higher purpose. Spirit has a mission, and a mission. I don't know why I said Spirit has a mission, but there's an order to how things are happening. There's like the stitching of every different star on this dress, which almost looks like a wedding dress now that I'm thinking about it. Or it's just a beautiful Baroque, lovely 18th century dress with almost looks like it's made out of like crepe paper or something, just gorgeous, gorgeous fabric. I do love textiles. Okay, anyway, and sacrifice, giving up something now for a future reward. And I just find this card so problematic, but I think what it's intended to depict is this child who's gotten into the chocolate and, into the candy, and she ought to have resisted because I don't know why. She looks like she's about to be punished by an adult or something. Yeah. And but it's suggesting that, if you don't, I think it's really funny that I line these up perfectly with that surface level. Okay, so yeah, if you, maybe there's something that you need to hold back on indulging at this time, like, maybe it's your passion, like maybe there is a call to just sort of, this is contrary to what I was saying before, but maybe there's something that you sense that you need to give up in order to build towards this beautiful connection. And, if there's some kind of, like, maybe it's the sweetness of the connection, maybe that's something that's not available to you. And if you allow it to take place, if you allow things to take place in divine timing, then, there's better chocolate ahead. I'm not really sure. And then we have this apology with, yeah, I almost want to like go through and read you the art in this deck. But anyway, the messages are good. Apology, forgiveness through mutual understandings. So if there's something that you have, that you feel that you need to apologize for, maybe that's some of the processing that's happening here. Maybe there's an apology to be made. But either way, there's kind of an emphasis on forgiveness, just kind of being in the energies of compassion, being open to each other. That I think is a good. And then manifestation came through, and I put it over here for whatever reason, I guess to go with divine timing. Law of attraction, thoughts become things. So I was talking about how, there's this idea that perhaps resonates for you of, that we, I think I was going to say that we create our reality with our thoughts, but I think at the very least, I think you don't even have to be a particularly spiritual person to recognize that whatever your field of experience is creates what you expect to happen next. And so if there is any, if you have any subconscious blocks that, you need to release, like working with those blocks can really shift your sort of horizon of expectations and allow you to attract in something that might have felt impossible previously, like the 10 of Cups outcome with your swan person. I don't know. And so but also becoming conscious of your own thoughts, and, do those run negative? Is there like an not 8 of Cups, but 8 of Swords element, like, are there any self-limiting beliefs that you need to release, that one person needs to release? Just be aware that self-limiting beliefs can hold you back, and there might be a call to release those. And then we have awakening, a realization, shift, or discovery. And just the way I laid it out, I was taking that as something to do with the swan person. So the swan person might be in the energy of having a realization, making a shift, discovering something new about the connection or about their feelings in the connection. Maybe the star card, maybe they're just realizing their own longings, what they long for, that they do desire this 10 of Cups with you. So, yeah. So trust in divine timing and have patience and be open. So I hope that was enjoyable, and thanks for your patience in being with me as I sort of regurgitated yesterday's reading, which doesn't feel like it attained quite that same level of deliciousness, but it was all the same cards, and some new messages came through, so that was cool. And I trust that Spirit perhaps wanted you to know a little bit more, a little bit different emphasis than whatever was coming through yesterday. And so now comes the challenge of seeing if I can get this one all the way to YouTube. And so thanks for being here. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please do like, subscribe, and yeah, let me know what's going on in your connection. I would really love to, especially if you feel like you have this underwater mer people connection going on with this one person. I would so love to hear about that. I feel like that's almost like a creative writing prompt. Please do. And the swan person, of course, there's something about creative writing or writing with the swan. And for you, being present and breathing into it. And so we're going to leave it there. Thanks for being here. Mwah. Bye.